네, 안녕하세요. 코치 텐입니다. 그러면 지금부터 기억영어 챌린지 52번째 도전을 해보겠습니다. 오늘은요, 진짜 양이 많습니다. 어떻게 되냐면, 4가지 주제를 다 묶어서요, 한 번에 해볼 거고요. 총, 어, 영어 문장, 말덩어리의 수가요, 722개입니다. 722개를 아무것도 안 보고 바로 말을 해보겠습니다. 기억을 해서. 네, 그러면 바로 들어가 볼게요. 자, 아무것도 안 보고 눈을 가리고 시작합니다. 중간에 혹시라도 실패할 수도 있지만 그냥 쭉 밀고 나갈게요. 자, 갑니다. 준비. Go. I open the door, I close the door, I knock the door, I lock the door, I unlock the door. I turn on the light, I turn off the light. I turn on the switch, I turn off the switch. I pick up a remote con, I turn on the aircon, I turn off the aircon. I feel a little hot, I feel a little cold. I go to my bed, I sit down on my bed, I lay down on my bed, I sleep in my bed, I get out of my bed. I pick up my pillow, I use my pillow, I put my pillow on the bed, I put my head on the pillow. I pick up a blanket, I use the blanket, I put the blanket on the bed, I prop the blanket, I fold up the blanket. I pick up a remote con, I turn on the TV, I watch Netflix, I turn off the TV. I go to the mirror, I stand in front of the mirror, I look in the mirror, I check my face, I check my hairstyle in the mirror, and I pick up a lotion, I use the lotion, I put some lotion on my hands, I put some lotion on my face. I go to the massage chair, I sit down on the massage chair, I press the button, I use the massage chair for 20 minutes, I get out of the massage chair. And I go to the window, I open the window, I look out the window, I close the window, I clean up the window. I open the curtains, I close the curtains. I go to the bathroom, I go to the sink, I stand in front of the sink, I turn on the water, I wash the dishes, I turn off the water. I stand in front of the mirror, I look in the mirror, I check my face, I check my hairstyle in the mirror. I pick up a toothbrush, I pick up a toothpaste, I put some toothpaste onto my toothbrush, I brush my teeth up and down and back and forth. I rinse my mouth with clean water, I spit it into the sink. I pick up a shaver, I use the shaver, I turn it on, I shave my face, I turn it up, I wash it with clean water, I put it back on the shaver rack. I take off my clothes, I take off my t-shirts, I take off my pants, I take off my underwear, I put them all into the laundry basket. I go to the toilet, I sit down on the toilet, I use the toilet, I do my business on the toilet, I flush the toilet. I pick up a toilet paper, I use the toilet paper, I throw the toilet paper into the toilet, I flush the toilet. I open the trash can, I throw the trash into the trash can, I close the trash can. I go to the shower booth, I get into the shower booth, I take a shower. Open the shower curtain, I close the shower curtain. I pick up a shower head, I use the shower head, I take a shower, I turn on the water, I turn off the water. I pick up a shampoo, I use the shampoo, I make some bubbles on my hands, I wash my body, I wash my hair with the shampoo, I rinse my hair with clean water. I pick up a soap, I use the soap, I make some bubbles, I wash my body with the soap, I rinse my body with clean water. I go to the towel rack, I pick up a towel, I use the towel, I dry my body with the towel, I put it back on the towel rack. I go to the living room, I go to the sofa, I sit down on the sofa, I take a rest on the sofa, I lay down on the sofa, I get out of the sofa. I pick up a mini cushion, I use the cushion, I put the cushion behind my back, I lean my body on the cushion. There's a mini table in front of the sofa, I use the table, I put some snacks on the table. I pick up a remote con, I turn on the TV, I watch TV, I turn off the TV. I go to the cabinet, I open the cabinet, I take out a photo album, I close the cabinet. I bring the photo album to the sofa, I sit down on the sofa, I open the photo album, I look through the album, I close the album. There are some snacks on the trolley in the living room. I go to the trolley, I pick up some snacks, I open the snack, I eat some snacks. I pick up a remote con, I feel a little hot, I feel a little cold, I turn on the aircon, I turn off the aircon. And I go to the living room curtains, I open the curtains, I close the curtains. I put on my slippers in the living room, I take off my slippers in the living room. I go to the kitchen, there is an island table in the kitchen, I use the island table, I put some snacks on the table. I go to the refrigerator, I open the refrigerator, I take out some water bottles from the refrigerator, I close the refrigerator. I drink some water. I go to the coffee machine, I use the coffee machine, I press the button, I make a cup of coffee, I drink a cup of coffee. I go to the microwave, I open the microwave, I put some dishes into the microwave, I close the microwave, I run the microwave for about 2 minutes. And I go to the gas stove, I open the gas valve, I turn off the gas valve, I turn on the gas stove, I turn off the gas stove. I put the pot on the gas stove, I pour some water into the pot, I boil some water. And I pick up a salt, I pick up a soy sauce, I put some soy sauce, I put a bit of soy sauce, I put a bit of salt into the pot, and I put them back on the seasoning rack. And I go to the drawer, I open the drawer, there are some spoon and chopsticks in the drawer, I take out some spoon, I take out some chopsticks from the drawer, I close the drawer. I open the drawer, there are some plates in the drawer, I take out some plates from the drawer, I close the drawer. I go to the sink, I turn on the water, I wash the dishes, I turn off the water. There are dish rack next to the sink. I pick up the dishes on the pick up the dishes, I put the dishes on the dish rack. I pick up a dry towel, I use the dry towel, I dry the dishes with the towel. And I pick up a knife and chopping board. I bring them to the island table. I put them all on the table. I pick up a knife. I cut some radish. I go to the trash can, open the trash can. I throw the trash into the trash can. I close the trash can. There are some plastic bags on the wall. I pick up one of the plastic bags. I open the trash can. I change the lane into the. I take out the trash from the trash can. I put the new plastic bag into the plastic bag. I throw the trash into the trash bin out of my house. There is a parking area near my house. I go to the parking area. There's my car in the parking area. I go to my car. I pick up my car key. I use my car key. I press the button. I open the car door. I close the car door. I get into my car. I sit down on the driver's seat. I adjust the driver's seat. I step on the brake. I grab the steering wheel. I buckle up. I fasten my seatbelt, I unfasten my seatbelt. And I want to go faster, I step on the accelerator. I want to stop my car, I step on the brake. I feel a little hot, I feel a little cold. I turn on the aircon, I turn off the aircon. I look at the side view mirror, I check the side view mirror, I change lanes. I turn on the blinker, I turn off the blinker. And I look at the rear view mirror, I check the rear view mirror, I adjust the rear view mirror. I go to the trunk, I open the trunk, I take out the toolbox from the trunk, I put the toolbox into the trunk, I close the trunk. There is a bus stop near my house. I go to the bus stop, and I wait for the bus, I stand next to the bus stop. I look at the information board, I check the information board, I check the bus time, I check the bus number. I look at the bus map, I check the bus number, I check the bus time, I check the bus stop, I check my destination, I check where I want to go. There are some benches in the bus stop. I go to one of the bench, I sit down on the bench, I stand up from the bench, I wait for a bus. The bus is coming. When the bus door is opened, I get on the bus. I look at the bus driver. I say hello to the bus driver. I take out my wallet from my pocket. I take out my bus card from my wallet. I use my bus card. I tap my bus card on the card reader. And I take a look around on the bus. I look for an empty seat. I go to the seat. I sit down on the seat. I take a rest. If there is no empty seat, I stand up on the bus. I keep standing on the bus. I grab the handle, I hold the handle. I check the bus stop, I press the bell, I stand up from the seat, I go to the exit door, I wait for a moment, I take out my bus card, I take my bus card on the card reader, and the bus door is open, I get off the bus. There's a subway station near my house. I go to the subway station, I get into the subway station, I get out of the subway station. I go to exit 10, I get into the exit 10, I get out of the exit 10. I walk up the steps, I walk down the steps. I walk up the stairs, I walk down the stairs. I go to the ticket gate, I take out my bus card, I use my bus card, I take my bus card on the card reader, I walk through the ticket gate. And I go to the platform, I walk down the steps, I take a look around, I check the direction of the subway, and I wait for the subway. There are screen doors for safety. I go to the screen door, I stand in front of the screen door, I get in line, I wait for a train. There are some benches in the platform. I go to one of the bench, I sit down on the bench, I wait for a moment, I stand up from the bench, and I get in line. When the train door is open, I get on the train, I take a look around, I look for an empty seat, I sit down on the seat. And I listen to an announcement. I hear an announcement, I listen to an announcement, I stand up from the seat, I go to the exit door, I wait for a moment. When door is open, I get off the train. And there's a parking area near my house. I go to the parking area. There is my bike in the parking area. I go to my bike. I look for my bike. And I pick up a key. I unlock the chain. I lock up the chain lock. I unlock the chain lock. I put the chain lock into my backpack. I open my backpack. I take out my helmet. I put on my helmet. I take off my helmet. I buckle up. I take out the flashlight. I mount to the flashlight on the bike. I turn on the light. I turn off the light. And I grab the bicycle. I get on the bike. And I ride my bike. I ride my bike along the Han River. I go to Han River. I ride my bike along the Han River. There's a convenience store in the Han River Park. There is a bicycle rack next to the convenience store. I go to the rack. I stop riding a bike. I park my bike at the rack. I take out the chain lock. I lock up the chain lock. I go to the convenience store. I get into the convenience store. I take a look around. I feel thirsty. I pick up one of the soda. I pay for it. I go to the counter. I pay for it. I pick up a soda. I open the soda. I drink some soda. And I get out of the convenience store. There are so many trees in the park. I go to one of the trees. I sit down under the trees. I take a rest. I open my backpack. I take out the picnic mat. I spread the picnic mat on the floor. I sit down on the mat. I lay down on the mat. I take a nap. And I go to school. I go to the classroom. I open the door, I get into the classroom, I go to my desk, I sit down at the desk, I get ready for the class. I open my backpack, I take out a textbook, I open the textbook, I read the textbook, I close the textbook. And I open my pencil case, I take out a pen, I use the pen, I draw a mind map with the pen. I take out a note, I open the note, I take notes, I close the note. There's my friend next to the cabinet. I see my friend, I say hello to him, I have a small talk with him. I go to the cabinet, open the cabinet, I put my backpack into the cabinet, I close the cabinet. I pick up my backpack, I put my backpack into the cabinet, I take out my backpack from the cabinet. I swing my backpack over my shoulder. There's a teacher in front of us, in front of the whiteboard. I go to the teacher. I say hello to him. I have a small talk with him. I go to the whiteboard. I stand in front of the whiteboard, and I pick up a marker. I write down what I want, and I erase the whiteboard. I pick up a marker. I use the marker. I write down on the board, and I draw a mind map on the board with the marker. I erase the whiteboard. I go to the library. I go to the main entrance of the library. I wait for my friend at the main entrance. I meet my friend at the main entrance. I get into the library with my friends. I go to the information desk and I take out my membership card. I use my membership card. there are some steps in the information desk. I say hello to them. I have a small talk one of them. I take out my membership card. I use my membership card. I take my membership card on the card reader. I walk through the gate. I get into the library. I go to the return desk. I open my backpack. I take out the books. I return the books. And I go to the hall of the library. There is a free Wi-Fi in the hall of the library. I pick up my phone. I search for the free Wi-Fi. I connect the free Wi-Fi. I go to the sofa. I sit down. There are so many sofas in the hall of the library. I go to one of the sofa. I sit down on the sofa. I take a rest on the sofa. I pick up my phone. I watch YouTube. I feel thirsty. I go to the vending machine. I put some coins into the slot. I press the button. I take out a soda can. I drink some soda. There is a big speaker in the hall of the library. Sometimes I listen to some music. Sometimes I hear an announcement. And there are stacks on the first floor of the library. So I walk up the steps to the first floor and I get into the stacks. I take a look around and I'm interested in the psychology. So I go to the section of the psychologists, and there are so many books in the bookshelf. I pick up one of the books about the psychologists. I look through the books. I bring the book to the table. I sit down at the table. I open the book. I read the book. I close the book. And I go to the mini stop. I get into the mini stop. I go to the counter. I get in line. I put all things on the counter. I pay for it. I look at the steps. I say hello to the steps. I take out my credit card. I use my credit card. I pay for it. I take out my credit card from my wallet. I use my credit card. I pay for it by my credit card. I take a look around in the mini store. I feel hungry. I pick up a sandwich. I buy the sandwich. I eat the sandwich. I feel thirsty. I take a look around. I pick up a soda can. I buy the soda can. I drink some soda. I want to buy something, so I pick up some snacks. I buy the snacks. I eat some snacks. There are some sofas in the mini store. I go to the sofa. I sit down on the sofa. I take a break with the snacks. There is a table in front of the sofa. I use the table. I put some snacks and soda on the table. There are some napkins on the table. I pick up a sheet, one of the sheet of the napkin. I wipe my lips and I wipe the table. I pick up the trash. I go to the trash can, open the trash can. I throw the trash into the trash can. I close the trash can. And I go to the basketball gym, indoor basketball gym. I go to the main gate. I open the main gate of the basketball gym. I close the main gate. I lock the main gate. I unlock the main gate. There is a big shoe rack next to the main gate. I take off my shoes. I put my shoes on the shoe rack. I take a look around. I look for my basketball shoes. There are so many basketball shoes in the shoe rack. I pick up my basketball shoes. I change into my basketball shoes. I put on my basketball shoes. I get into the basketball court. I try to warm up. I try to stretch it out. And I go to the goal post near the low post. I try to do the layup shot. I practice jump shot. I pick up a ball. I use the ball. I practice dribbling. I pass the ball to my friends. There's a coach in the basketball court. I go to my coach. I say hello to him. I listen to his advice. There are so many players in the court. I go to the players. I say hello to them. I play basketball with them. I go to the bench. I sit down on the bench. I stand up from the bench. I put my backpack on the bench. And there is a scoreboard. There is a scoreboard out of the basketball court. I look at the scoreboard. I check the score. I check the time. I feel thirsty. I go to the water purifier. I use the water purifier. I drink some water. I use the paper cup. After playing basketball, I go to the shower room. I get into the shower room. I take off my clothes. I take a shower. I dry my body with the towel. and I change my uniform. And I go to my office, I get into my office, I go to my desk, I sit down at the desk, I get ready for my work. I get ready to work. I pick up my ID card, I put my ID card around my neck. I use my ID card, I clock in, I clock out. I pick up a pen, I turn on my computer, I check my emails, I turn off my computers, I make a proposal, I make a report to use my computer. I pick up a pen, I use the pen, I draw a mind map, I draw a mind map with the pen. I make a business plan, I write down a business plan, I use Excel, I use PowerPoint, the software, and I print out the business plan. There is a calendar on the desk. I look at the calendar, I check the dates, I check my meeting schedule with my client. There are some business cards on the desk. I pick up some business card, I put some business card into my wallet. I look at my coworkers, I say hello to them, I have a small talk with them. I go to the printer, I use the printer, I press the button, I print out the business plan. I go to the fax machine, I wait for a moment, I receive the fax from my clients, I send the fax to my client. And I turn off the fax machine. And I go to the meeting room, I open the door, I get into the meeting room, I close the door. I turn on the light, I turn off the light, I turn on the switch, I turn off the switch in the meeting room. I stand in front of the booking board, I look at the booking board, I check the booking board, I write down my name and time on the booking board. I book a meeting room. I go to the table, I sit down at the table, I get ready for the meeting with my clients. I bring my computers into the meeting room, and I turn on my computer, turn on my laptop, I search for the presentation files, I use the PowerPoint, I turn off the computer. And I use the beam projector, I turn on the beam projector, I connect into my computer, I turn off the beam projector. I pick up a laser pointer, I use the laser pointer, I press the button, I keep holding on it. And I pick up a mic, I use the mic, I turn on the mic, I turn off the microphone. I go to the whiteboard, I stand in front of the whiteboard, I pick up a marker, I use the whiteboard, I write down my ideas on the board, I draw a mind map on the board. I pick up a marker, I use the marker, I pick up an eraser, I use the eraser. And I go to the step lounge, I get into the step lounge, the break room, I go to the water purifier, I press the button, I use the water purifier, I drink some water. I pick up a coffee pot, I pick up a coffee mix, I open the coffee mix, I pour the coffee mix into the cup, I pour hot water into the cup, I stir it, I make a cup of coffee, I drink a cup of coffee. I pick up a paper cup, I use the paper cup, I pour some water into the cup, I drink some water. I go to the refrigerator, open the refrigerator, I take out the orange juice, I close the refrigerator. There are some snacks on the trolley next to the refrigerator. I pick up some snacks, I open some snacks, I eat some snacks. I feel a bit hungry, I go to the toaster, I use the toaster, I put 2 slices of bread into the toaster, I press the button, I wait for about 30 seconds, I take out the toast from the toaster. I want to drink a cup of coffee, so I go to the coffee machine, I press the button, I make a cup of coffee, I drink a cup of coffee. And I go to the sink, I turn on the water, I do the dishes, I turn off the water. I pick up a glass cup, I pour some orange juice into the cup, I drink some orange juice. I pick up a plate, I use the plates, I put the toast on the plate, I eat the toast. I pick up a spoon and I pick up a fork and knife, I use the fork and knife, I eat the toast with jam to use fork and knife. After that, I go to the trash can, I open the trash can, I throw the trash into the trash can, I close the trash can. And I go to the factory. early in the morning around 6 a.m. I go to the main gate of the factory. I open the main gate. I close the main gate. I unlock the main gate. I lock up the main gate. I lock up the chain lock. I unlock the chain lock. There is a forklift next to the main gate. I go to the forklift. I get on the forklift. I start the engine. I drive the forklift. I work with the forklift. There is an air compressor next to the main gate. I use the compressor. I turn on the compressor. I turn off the compressor. There are some fire extinguishers next to the main gate for safety. I go to the fire extinguisher. I pick up one of them and I check the expiry date on it. I put it back on the rack. And I go to the break room. I get into the break room. I take a rest on the sofa for about 10 minutes. I get out of the break room. I open the cabinet. I put my backpack into the cabinet. I close the cabinet. I pick up my safety helmet. I put on my safety helmet. I take off my safety helmet. I buckle up. I pick up my uniform. I put on my uniform. I take off my uniform. I change into my uniform. And I zip up the zipper. I unzip the zipper. I pick up my safety boots. I put on my safety boots. I take off my safety boots. I tie them up. I untie the boots. I go to the working table. I stand in front of the working table. I get ready for work. And I clean up the table. I pick up my safety glass. I put on my safety glass. I take off my safety glass. Goggle. I pick up my safety gloves. I put on my safety gloves. I take off my safety gloves. I put my toolbox on. I pick up a blueprint, the plan. I spread the plan on the table. I work to follow the plan. I read the plan. I pick up a toolbox. I put the toolbox on the table. I open the toolbox. I take out some tools from the toolbox. Knife, cutter, or nipper, or driver. And I close the toolbox. I put the toolbox under the table. 됐습니다. 네, 양이 엄청 많아요. 지금 다 끝냈네요. 다 하니까요. 700문장, 720문장이요. 720문장이 대략 27분 나오네요. 27분. 네, 증거로 남겨놓겠습니다. 여러분들도 다 할 수 있는 겁니다. 제가 일단 보여드리고 같이 할 분들은 또 같이 시작하면 되겠습니다. 그러면 이렇게 해서 마무리하겠습니다. 감사합니다.